Hello there, and welcome back to Writing from Scratch with me, Tom. Today we're talking about your first chapter and all the things that you need to include when you start writing. So, I've already written my first chapter, and I want to share with you a few things that I found really useful to keep in mind when you start writing. For me, it was a big challenge, and I wish I knew these things before I started. To begin with, your first chapter is all about establishing two things: the main character and conflict in the novel. First of all, we need to show the reader who the emotional core of this story is going to be. We need to show them in generally a normal state and usually in a position of vulnerability so that we can create some sort of emotional connection with that character. This serves as an anchor for comparison for later, so that when the reader is progressing through the story, they can always refer back to this normal life and see how the character has changed over the course of the journey. We also need conflict. Conflict is something that needs to be established in this first chapter. Anyone familiar with the hero's journey knows that we need that call to adventure or inciting incident. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to happen in the first chapter, but we need to be hinting at that. We need to be building a sense of apprehension to keep the reader hooked so they want to continue reading and find out what's going to happen. So it's really important that at some point we're introducing elements of conflict into the story in the first chapter. Importantly, your first chapter is not a prologue. This is something that I made a mistake with. Your prologue is additional background information that sets the scene, either as a flashback or a flash forward. The first chapter is where we introduce our main character. So for example, if we're taking a murder mystery, the prologue might feature the murder taking place, whereas the first chapter will be introducing the police officer who's going to be investigating that murder and their call to adventure to move the story forward. Another thing that I am completely guilty of within my first chapter is avoiding using pretentious language. A lot of writers fall into the trap of using the first chapter to really demonstrate their prowess and command of their language. And this is a really big mistake, and it's a big turn-off for readers. A piece of advice that was given to me is to imagine that you're giving this first chapter to somebody whose language is not your own. This way, you know that you need to tone down the flamboyance of that opening chapter and really just focus on the dialogue and the story that are taking place. The final point here is something that I wish someone had told me to do, which is to just start writing and just write that first chapter. Many new writers struggle with a large apprehension about taking that fantastic idea that you have in your head and putting it onto paper. There's a real fear that you think this idea will not translate well and not look good when written down. The main advice here is that it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. No one is going to read it or see it unless you want them to. So don't worry, just write it down, get it done, and I promise you, you'll feel better for it. I certainly did. Once I saw that finished chapter, it was a really great feeling and the apprehension went away. So that's all we have time for today. Good luck with writing your first chapters, and I hope some of these techniques will help you out. Please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video with your friends, and I'll see you all on the next episode. Thank you very much.